Welcome back. It's been a while, I think like 3 months. So before I just get back into regular content, I should talk about where I've been. Because I think it'll be helpful for other people to know. So where I've been, you know, I had a lot of I really wanted to reduce the neurosis, right? I wanted to become, and this relates like closely to the last video I made called Letting Go. I wanted to become more confident, less afraid, really. I think that was the main, because confidence doesn't really capture what it means. Confidence, I don't mean like an outward look of confidence. I mean an inner peace and calm. And so I really just upped all of the, meditation, spiritual, contemplation, all of these things that maybe some people would call spiritual, right? Some of these like psychedelic breathing exercises as well, and those were surprisingly useful. You know, I was quite doubtful. I thought they're probably just fake and they don't work, but they do work surprisingly. They can simulate psychedelic experiences, but you'd have to try that yourself to find out. But anyway, yeah, it really does relate to letting go because even with something like talking in front of this camera, when you accept reality, and acceptance was like the new edition of letting go, which I basically created over these 3 months. It's it's peaceful. You feel content with reality. You're not running away. You're not so fearful anymore. You're not really even a self. And so I had a lot of glimpses of this kind of no self thing, truth, God, whatever. Um, and yeah, a lot of this kind of pain and neurosis and the fear. You're always afraid. You're always resistance. There's always that resistance you have. You're fighting yourself continuously. And it just takes so much out of you. And part of it is realizing that there was no you ever really fighting. Right? And so you just realize the mind is just fighting itself. And so you just feel much more at peace. But one of the traps I fell into was this kind of existential dread and fear, thinking there's no meaning to reality and what's the point of life, why are we even here? And this kind of got me, honestly, for a while. I was trapped in these kind of negative thought spirals for maybe a week. And I just didn't know how to escape because I was just trapped. I had to use all of the sort of controlling your mind and old kind of methods and mechanisms I built up to really escape that. Yeah, it was not a great place to be. And it was just, I realized afterwards what really helped me escape was that these thoughts you have, these kind of existential fears, they're not really true. They're sort of like a figment, right? They're a creation. It's it's making you suffer, but you don't realize that truth and the answers you want from reality, if you want them, are not from your thoughts. They're from something far beyond your thoughts. And so it almost doesn't make any sense to just be stuck, thinking, oh, there's no meaning to life. Because even that thought has no meaning. There's no meaning to the thought of reality has no meaning, right? These are all literally just meanings constructed by your mind. And so if you really, really go deep, 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 through this rabbit hole, you can come out of the other side and feel much better because you're not trying to run away from this fear that there's no point to life anymore. And so, what was the product of that, right? Because I don't do things, I do things for a reason, right? There has to be some benefit for me. So fortunately, I can say there was, and I've just become much more accepting of reality. The letting go process that I talked about in the last video I made is basically continued. And I just feel much more detached. I feel much more at ease, especially in certain situations like socially with people. There used to be so much fear and just neurosis, strangers, awkward situations. And it just took so much out of life, because so much of life is just about socializing, right? And just being with people. That's where you feel good. But if you have this fear and just constantly fighting yourself, self-sabotage, all this worry and fear, it really just makes your life miserable. And so, fortunately, I really have become much more just at peace. Really, that's been the number one benefit. But it's not just about being at peace. It's a platform on which you can build the rest of your life. Because at the end of the day, you realize this whole life around us, we're just here for only a short amount of time. And all of the things that you think are super significant, everything you think is super important, look around you. It's just, that's a meaning constructed by your mind. And what that means is you can basically, it's like a sandbox. You can do anything you want with your life. Of course, I don't claim to have all the answers to reality. There's so much I still don't really understand. And so, that kind of fighting myself and that existential fear, it's still there to an extent, but it's much reduced, and I do genuinely feel much more calm and confident. And that's really one of the top things I've wanted and needed from this life, is that ability to just be at peace with whatever's happening. To not be fearful and fighting and trying not to self-sabotage, as I'm making this video. I remember the first time I made videos, just self-sabotaging thoughts. Oh, I'm going to forget my lines. I'm going to forget what to say, and it took everything out of the video. When I watch old videos back, they don't look authentic. They don't look real. I mean, hopefully you can see that. But yeah, it's definitely been an interesting couple of months. And I hope to just keep building on this, right? To keep building on these gains. And also, what I was going to say is that this is a platform for the rest of your life, Anything else you want, masculinity, more control, just doing things, making money, whatever it is, even shallow things, you can really benefit from this. When you're going through this process of letting go, your mind is fighting itself. It's in like overdrive mode. It's telling itself, no, we're going to lose everything. I don't want to give up this. I don't want to give up money. I don't have money yet. I can't give up my life. I can't give up this. But you really only have to give it up to get it all. Right? So you don't actually have to give up any of these things, but you have to accept them. Accept reality as much as you can. Right? It's about surrender. And then when you do that, you are really refreshed, and you can become ready to tackle the world around you. And so that's what I've tried to do with myself, is to become more ready for the world around me. And so I think I'm going to close on that note. There's other things I learned, like purpose, the importance of having one and tethering yourself to that. And maybe I've realized the importance of other things like positive thinking, and how your mind, in a weird homeostatic way, resists it. But I think for now, the number one lesson really that I've taken away for these past 3 months is just acceptance.